Welcome to March Intermediate Sampler here at Close to Home in Southington, Connecticut. Just wanted to let you know that classes are forming for this beautiful iron CAD patty, and it houses a hot iron when you're done at your class, and you can even press on it. Everything's included with the pattern, including the Teflon. So this is going to be on a Saturday coming up on April 30th. This is also on the website to sign up, or you can come into the store. We have the Mondo bag class going on, the quilt Go block party, where we're going to be featuring the feathered star table runner, and certainly sign up online at closetohomestores.com. We also have the Creative Sewing Club has restarted. Please check our website for new classes forming, and that's usually going to be the last Wednesdays of the month. So you can bring in this month's March's block finished between April 8th and April 30th to get your April kit free. Just note you have until the end of April to get your kit free. All right, so we're repeating on the block something that we've done last year. This is called the Spider Web Ruler by Creative Grid. So we're making 4 of these units, in which I'll be showing you how to do that today. And we're going to join these, and then the rest we've really done their strip sets and flying geese. The flying geese units that we're using take the Eleanor Burns Quilt in a Day large flying geese ruler, the 2x4 end of the ruler, to get a finished 2x4 flying geese. Then we're going to add these little pieces in a strip set that we're subcutting, and we're going to add a 4 patch, and we're just going to build out from the center. It's pretty easy. We'll go through it. A couple little cutting things that I wanted to mention. The purple piece, you will cut 2 strips that are 3 1/4 inches wide. You're going to yield 4 3 1/4 inch squares out of each of those strips, and then what's remaining, you're just going to cut a nice long 1 1/2 inch strip. Do not worry about how long that strip is, just cut it the whole length of the kit. And of course, before you cut anything on your kit, you want to make sure you do spray it with Mary Ellen's Best Press. The next one, the multi and the white, they're the longer pieces in the kit, and you want to cut those 3 1/2 by the entire length of whatever's given to you in the kit. Don't worry about the length. The green and the pink we're going to cut 2 1 1/2 inch strips, the green just 1 1 1/2 inch strip. So a couple little things, but all the cutting is on your instructions, so make sure that you do look at that prior to starting your block. All right, so I have pre-cut a lot of my fabrics. I have cut my 3 1/4 inch purple squares. These are for the kite shapes on the spider web ruler. I have cut my 2 strips. These are for the triangles. These are 3 1/2 inches wide. And then of course I've cut my 1 1/2, 2 of the pinks, and the green all 1 1/2. Then we have the flying geese. We've done the flying geese, I think it was in January of this year. We did the small flying geese ruler, and we did the large last year as well. So if you need information or how to make that, I would go back to the January's video and take a look at that as well. Okay, we did the spider ruler actually last year in intermediate in in July of 21. And this is what the ruler looks like. Can you see that? So it's the non-slip Creative Grid Spider Web Ruler, and this is actually the block that we're going to be making today for the center of our 12-inch square. All right, and this we did use, in July of last year for intermediate. And of course, this is the Eleanor Burns Quilt in a Day large flying geese ruler. They changed the colors. They made them all black now, which is perfectly fine, but you're actually going to be using the lines that are on the end of the ruler, which finishes 2x4. All right. All right, so to get started, I'm going to go ahead and cut my kite shapes out of my squares. In this ruler, we want to make sure that we're looking at these white lines, these white dotted lines that are going through our ruler. The first one is when we cut a 3-inch strip for our triangles. The second one down is when we cut a 3.5-inch strip. So we're going to be using a 3 1/4 square. It tells me how big my square should start, 3 1/4, and it tells me how big my strip should be, 3 1/2. So I'm going to be using the second dotted or dashed white line and be putting my purple square, lining it right up with that white line on the second white line. So you should be looking for the 3 1/2 and 3 1/4. And then we're just going to trim these. So I'm going to trim 2 just so I can get one of the units done today. So again, the second line, lining it up with any of the corners of my square. I'll do another one. You're going to want to do all 8 of these. You're going to be making 8. Okay, just making sure that second set of dashed lines is right in the corner of my 3 1/4. So we're going to use this one, and the rest are scrap. And the next thing we're going to do is we can cut these together at the same time. These are, it doesn't matter, right side, wrong side together. Just I line it up at one end, and of course they're all cut at 3 1/2 on these strips. So on this way, I'm going to turn it a little bit this way. We need to line up the, actually I'll go to this end. We're going to take our 3 1/2-inch line. Remember, we cut our strips 3 1/2. We're going down to the second row. It's called 3 1/4. I don't know if, or 3 1/2. You see the black line right here going through there. So that black line, the 3 1/2, sits at the bottom of my strip, while the black tip of my triangle, of my spider web ruler, hangs off the top of my strip. And I'll go ahead, cut 2 of these. And you want to, of course, make sure that this is over as far as you can to get a complete triangle. So I will need to make 8 of these as we go along. Just turn it 180 degrees, and we're just going to keep making triangles. But I only need those for today, so I'll just stop there. Boom. And we're going to continue making 8 of these. All right. So I need 2 mediums, or 2 multis, and 2 whites. And what I'm going to do is kind of set up my block, and the base of my triangle goes along the base of my, or the long side of my kite shape. And this one's going to go here. So we're going to do 2 multis on 1 purple kite, and we're going to do 2 whites on the other purple kite. All right, just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these. Where we line these up is pretty important. So I'll show you here on the cutting mat, and then again over at the sewing machine. So I'm going to take my white piece, and you don't want to put it like right to the tip to tip. You want to kind of offset it a little bit, so you have a little bit of a valley right here. That's the 1/4 inch notch that you're going to hit, and it's also going to come out at a 1/4 inch here as well. So make sure that you align your triangle, you scoot it down so you have a little bit of the purple kite hanging off the end, so you can start your sewing right here in that little notch, and it's going to go straight down and come out this side. So what happens is when you do that and you open this up, you're going to have a nice straight line. All right, so let's go do these. I'm going to do 2. We're going to press to the triangle. Again, we're going to offset this one as well. So this one's going to hang out a little bit beyond the purple kite shape, and the purple kite shape's going to hang out a little bit beyond the white triangle. So I'm going to take these 2 over and sew them. To this end down here, you don't want this to move out of the way. You still want both raw edges to be right on top of each other. You don't want it to slip underneath, so hold on to it with your finger. You can use a stiletto, a seam ripper, something to just hold it in place. Okay, so like I said, we're going to press all these to the triangle. So if they're going to the triangle side is up. Give it just a little bit of heat. Hold that iron and just push over and hold it. Don't go crazy with the iron. This is a lot of bias going on all these edges, and we don't want to distort any of the pieces. So again, just a little bit of heat. Flip up my triangle and just set that seam. All right, so we'll go back over. I'll show you where to place the next triangle on these sides, and then we'll sew one more time. All right, so we have our pieces. Again, 2 whites to a triangle, to a kite shape, and 2 multi-colored fabrics to a kite shape. All right, so this is going to be the same thing. When I put my triangle base on the edge of this kite shape, I want to make sure that this point isn't right up in the corner, but extends a little bit beyond that. So again, I have that 1/4 inch notch that I'm going to start my seam allowance. And again, it's going to come right out this notch. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sew those and sew this one. Hold on to it. Don't let it slip around. Go right out there. Okay. So that it comes pretty close right out the notch. All right, so again, we're going to go ahead and press these to the triangle, and then we're going to sew them together. A little bit of heat on the triangle, and then flip it up and hold it. All right, so now the object is to put these 2 units together so that we get a nice point on each side. So you can see I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each of these pieces, so that's going to be great. So when I put these together, they should be the same size, and I'm going to poke a pin through the points just to make sure that my points are lining up. So I'll show you. We're going to flip that over. I'm going to grab a pin. I'm going to flip this top one up, and I'm going to put my pin right in the top of my point of the kite. And then I'm going to push it right through the point of this piece. So now my two pieces are right where I want them, and I want my thread, my seam, to go right across in front of this. Okay, so as I get to it, I'll pull that out. So if you want to hold that in place, you're afraid it's going to slip. Let me grab another one. Go ahead and put your pin right in front of it so that as you're sewing, you can pull this pin out, and complete your piece. All right, let's go try that. Yes. All right, so my ends are matched up, sort of. Hold on. Here we go. My ends are matched up. I'm going to sew, and usually my 1/4 of an inch is going to come right through this little notch right here. I'm pretty darn close. Okay, hold on. I'm going to flip this around because it just ate my thread. Sorry. Okay, that just happens. Clean out the machine, just flip it around, and we'll go from the other side. Of course, now all right, let's try this. Okay, so we're going to press this to one side. Heat up my seam a little bit. Just press it to one side. Get those points as close together as you can. And now we're going to trim it. So these are a little oversized. Please don't put this 4-patch together quite yet. What we want to do is take a ruler. It could be any square ruler or a rectangle, creative grid ruler. And what we're looking for is the 45-degree line that goes into the corner. Okay, so I'm going to lay that 45-degree line along my seam line, and where I stop is very important on this. You need to look at the point where the two purple pieces come together, this intersection right here, in 1/2 of 4 1/2. So you're looking for the 2 1/4 inch mark. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it's hard to see because it's a white line, but I'm going to lay my line right along here. And what I'm looking for is 1, 2 1/4. So here's my 1/4 mark, and here's my 1/4 mark, and I want that to line up right here. So if I continued those two ticks on my ruler, it would line up right here into the center. So as long as I have the 45 going up my line, and the 2 1/4 and 2 1/4 right here, I can go ahead and trim this. So all we're doing is we're trying to trim this down to a 4 1/2 by putting that mark in the center and keeping this lined up. Okay. I'm going to flip it around, do the same thing. This time I actually have a 4 1/2 inch mark to watch. There's my 4 1/2 inch mark on my ruler. Goes along my fresh cut edge, my 4 1/2 along my ruler, along my fresh cut corner. I'm looking here, my white line is going straight through, and it's again at 2 1/4, because here's my 2 1/4 tick, and here's 2 1/4, and it meets up right at the point. So we'll go ahead and trim this down to 4 1/2. So you don't forget to trim each and every one of these blocks. All right. So for the rest of these pieces, we're going to be making strip sets. The pink and the green are going to be subcut into 2.5-inch sections. So when you get those sewn, you're going to measure over 2.5 and cut it into 8 2.5-inch sections. The purple and the pink is long. Don't worry about it. You have a little bit of extra. That's fine. Really, you only need about this much. You're going to sew that, press it to the pink again, and subcut these into 1.5-inch segments. Okay. These are for the 4 patch. So when you get the 1.5, you're going to twist one around and make 4 patches. When you get done with your flying geese, you're going to take a unit of the green pink and put it on either end of the flying geese. So come on over to the block and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But it's identified very clearly with pictures in your directions. So this was the 4 patch that we made. We made one of these, you're making 4, you're going to sew them together to the center. You're going to be making 2 of these, which is our 2.5-inch strip set with our flying geese. So that's the top and the bottom. The other ones you're going to make are the long 12.5 pieces. So they're the 4 patch with strip set 1, with the flying geese, with strip set 1 and a 4 patch. This is the same as this. Let's just rotate it. So when you're done, you're going to put your either top bottom onto this and put it on your sides, or you can do it in reverse. You can put them on the sides and put your long pieces along the top and bottom. It doesn't matter how you assemble it. Okay, so this is a finished 12. Your block will be 12.5 unfinished. So don't trim it down. It'll be a nice 12.5-inch block. Any questions? Of course, you can come see me. I'm here at the store. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.